violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video.
A mother's heartbreak, the pain in her voice, is almost too much to bear.
Me arrebató mi vida entera.
He took away my entire life. He took away the most beautiful part of it. He took away my purpose for being, the reason I got up every day. He took away a life full of dreams. That was Araceli Leaño speaking to Univision Network's Despierta America this morning.
Wow. Look at this young girl, man. Taken out by the Super Gremlins. It's either some Super Gremlins or some Burrito Gremlins. Who knows? But this is Chirac, and this is commonplace.
About the loss of her 8-year-old daughter, Melissa Ortega, shot and killed as they crossed the street Saturday afternoon at 26th Street and Pulaski on their way to the bank. The little girl was hit by a stray bullet, shot from nearly a block away.
The information we have related to this investigation is very delicate right now. We do have people cooperating with us right now, and we do have very strong leads.
This afternoon, activists continued to hand out flyers to Little Village residents in the hopes of helping to find Melissa's killer. And the $15,000 reward is now being offered for any information that leads to an arrest. Investigators saying they have put together specialized units that will flood the neighborhood in the coming days and weeks to address the gang wars that...
Wow. So I'm sure this isn't the first time they've flooded the neighborhood to address gang wars that are going on in Chicago. The police are pretty much tapped out. The defund the police, the DAs and prosecutors letting these violent crime offenders walk with an ankle bracelet, ankle monitor, whatnot. It's got them overworked and definitely underpaid. So shout out to them for doing the job, but it doesn't look like they're even putting a dent in these murders that are going on in the Chi.
Led to her death. In the United States for only 6 months, Melissa's family is now trying to repatriate her body to her hometown in Mexico, an effort the consulate is actively involved in.
Wow. She was in the States for 6 months, probably fleeing the gang wars that they got going on in Mexico. And only to come here and meet a super gremlin and meet their untimely demise.
This is very sad. And it's not the first incident. You remember Adam Toledo. We have experienced this before.
That work.
Whoa. She mentioned Adam Toledo. Adam Toledo is a way different situation. If you guys don't remember Adam Toledo, he was actually shot by the police because he was shooting. I think he was 13 or 14 years old, but he was shooting up the street, and then he ran in this dark alley. The police told him to show his hands. He dropped his gun and they shot him. Seriously, honest mistake. But this girl was completely innocent. Adam Toledo was not.
Is actively involved in.
This is very sad.
Matter of fact, Adam Toledo was a burrito gremlin. A super burrito gremlin at that.
And it's not the first incident. You remember Adam Toledo. We have experienced this before.
That work, we are told, will likely take several days as funeral arrangements are finalized and emergency passports expedited for the family to return to Mexico.
We start with the latest on a story that we first brought you as breaking news tonight at 5 o'clock. We've learned more tonight about this 8-year-old girl who was shot and killed in Little Village. She was hit by a stray bullet that was intended for someone else. This happened this afternoon near 26th and Pulaski. NBC5's V. Wynn has more now from Stroger Hospital, where doctors tried to save that girl's life.
Alex, the young girl was shot in the head and died here at the hospital. A witness says she heard the gunshots, then heard someone screaming at the intersection. She looked over and saw a young girl bleeding on the ground and her mother crying out for help. It was here at 26 in Pulaski in Little Village where police say an 8-year-old girl was fatally shot while walking with her mom. This vendor told us in Spanish she heard the gunshots and heard someone shouting and begging that their little girl would be safe. She says what happened was horrible. The medical examiner identified the victim as Melissa Ortega. She lived less than a mile away from where she was shot. NBC5 learned she and her mom were not the intended target.
And they say that, oh, they weren't the intended target. Excuse me. They say that as if it makes it okay. But we all know in the community, most of the people who are getting shot and killed were not the intended target, because we know that these super gremlins have no type of aim. So we know that most of the victims in these shootings were not the intended target, but they're saying it as if it's like this new phenomenon.
Today's an extremely sad day. I've lived in my community of Little Village all my life, and this is one of the saddest days I've ever experienced.
Police say a 26-year-old man was also wounded in the shooting. He was leaving a store when someone started shooting at him.
Gang-related, then stand up as gangs and give up these individuals that discharge that weapon. Why would you allow anyone to take a child's life in the first place?
Sir, I don't know if you understand how these gangs work, but it's gang over everything. No snitching. Yeah, I mean, the street code. So begging, pleading for the super gremlins to give themselves up is counterintuitive. You're making a mistake, sir, respectfully. The old heads have no idea what's going on in the community. He doesn't understand that these dudes are so sick that they're smoking on her pack right now. I'm telling you. I guarantee it.
Gang-related, then stand up as gangs and give up these individuals that discharge that weapon. Why would you allow anyone to take a child's life in the first place? Just stand up.
Investigators went door to door talking to businesses and neighbors, hoping to find any surveillance video that could help solve the crime and bring justice to Ortega's family.
The outreach teams are trying to help the family, and I urge anybody who has information about the shooting, this killing, the senseless act of violence, to please inform 911.
As for the second victim, he's being treated tonight in the hospital in critical condition. Area 4 detectives are still investigating the motive. Reporting from Stroger Hospital, V1 NBC5 News.
To achieve the American dream, but was instead given American violence. The message today from the family of 8-year-old Melissa Ortega.
She is the little girl who was shot and killed this weekend in a targeted gang-related shooting. Now we are getting new details on that shooting itself. CBS 2's Tara Molina has been tracking the story all day. She joins us live from police headquarters. Tara.
Maria and Jim, Chicago police say there is a saturated presence in Little Village right now as they call for the community's help, the community's tips in bringing the shooter that took the life of this 8-year-old girl to justice. 8 years old, a third grader here at Emiliano Zapata Academy. Melissa Ortega was
3rd grade. Are you serious? 3rd grade.
New to Chicago, here since August, and excited to build a better life with her mother, both from Mexico. Her family says she wanted to learn English, play in the snow, make a Build-A-Bear, and TikTok dances with her friends. But on her way from the bank to get a hamburger Saturday, hand in hand with her mom in Little Village, gang violence stole all of that from her, and her from her family. A family telling us in a statement, she sought to achieve the American dream, but was instead given American violence. Her school put this letter.
It's like she's making it out to that statement. To me Well, it sounded like she's making it out to be like, oh, you know, the American violence. I mean, we pretty much all know that the main source of violence comes from these super gremlins. You can't blame the colonizers for this, boo. We can't do that. We can't say, oh, colonizers, they started the gang violence. Nah. It sounded almost like they tried to frame it as if they were trying to blame the colonizers and the guys who are pro 2A and you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know, a little out of touch, but you know, RIP to the young girl, man. Life taken too soon.
Letter out to families grieving her loss, counselors there for students this week.
We need your help.
As Chicago police puts another message out today.
I ask anyone with information about the shooting to please call our anonymous tip line.
As investigators work to find the shooter, there's a reward on the table, up to $10,000 for information leading to arrest in the case, and up to $15,000 for a conviction. Police call the gunfire Melissa and her mother tried to escape, part of a gang war. The shots, meant for a 26-year-old man who was nearby, also shot.
Specialized units from across the city will saturate the area in the coming days and weeks to vigorously address the gang conflict that caused Melissa's death.
Melissa Ortega's uncle, Saul Galvez, responded to those statements from police today, telling me police patrolling the area now isn't enough.
And check this, the 26-year-old boy who got shot leaving the store. What are the odds that he cooperates too? Because that's your main witness. He knows his ops. He knows who's after him. So how about we ask him which super gremlin did this? Which super gremlin is after him? That's your main witness right there.
Should be doing that all the time. And quote, resources should be invested to the community to prevent innocent kids from dying. Melissa Ortega's family plans to bring her body back to Mexico so she can be buried in her hometown. They're asked for help, and making that happen via GoFundMe has already exceeded its goal today. We'll bring you more updates coming up at 6 o'clock, but for now, reporting live outside CPD headquarters, I'm Tara Molina, CBS 2 News.
Big concern. A shooting not only heartbreaking, but a big concern for people in the Little Village neighborhood.
Baltasar Enriquez joins us now. He is the president of the Little Village Community Council. We thank you for joining us. Baltasar, you're asking for federal help.
Yes, and thank you for having us. We're calling on our Congressman Jesus Garcia to come and assist the community, bring us federal funding. We've been asking for a mental health clinic here in Little Village because our community is traumatized. Our community has been traumatized.
Here we go with the mental health angle. You know, I definitely think that these people who are victims of this definitely need therapy. But what usually happens when they come with this mental health angle, they displace the blame from the super gremlin and put it on his mental health issues or upbringing or whatnot. I don't care what happened to you when you was a kid. You can't just frivolously go out in the streets and shoot whatever you see in sight. It's not okay, and I can't chalk that up to mental health.
Our children are traumatized. So what happens when you are a mother and they kill your child? Where do you run to? Where do you seek help? There's none of these centers here in Little Village. So we're asking on our political leaders like Mayor Lightfoot, Governor Pritzker to come and bring us these funds, give us those tools to fight the crime by giving us the resources. So we are asking that they open a mental health clinic here in Little Village. Mental health is a very important issue, and we see the violence in our community and our children being normalized to murder, to death. It's normal. It's okay. So it shouldn't be okay. So we're fighting for our children to have a place where they could go and get the services they need. And we need it now. We don't need it tomorrow or next week. We need it now. They killed an 8-year-old child here in Little Village, and nobody has ever done nothing. Our politicians have not done nothing. So we're calling upon them. We're asking them to take action and take action now.
Continue to watch your fight for those resources. Baltazar Enriquez.
They already fighting for resources. It ain't a resource problem. Y'all need to send them resources to the police and start cracking down on these super gremlins and make sure that they stay in jail. But, you know, and I'm not saying that this guy is race baiting or race hustler. I don't know. But it's funny how they start talking about resources quick. Soon as a little 8-year-old girl is killed. It's just like, come on, G. I don't know, man. It just don't sit right with me.
President of the Little Village Community Council, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Black puffy coat, black pants, black ski mask, a mask, walking through your alleys, walking your streets, or just getting out of a car. Take the time from 2:15 to 3:15 yesterday.
Hold on. The brother right behind you. It sounds like you're describing the brother right behind you. See, these descriptions are almost impossible, especially if you don't put a race on it. He basically described every dude in Chicago.
Look at your camera. Black ski mask, a mask, walking through your alleys, walking your streets, or just getting out of a car. Take the time from 2:15 to 3:15 yesterday.
Look at bro right here in the back. He like, dang, they found me.
Your cameras. You can send that information to ATC 640@chicagopolice.org. I'm going to say it again. ATC 640@chicagopolice.org. You can send that information to the Chicago Police Department. Now I take it on another personal note. This was somebody's baby. That's what stated Melissa Lives Matter. All the technology that's up here, all the stores that's around here, you have surveillance footage. Don't wait until your store is burglarized and then all of a sudden it's working. Give that information, give that footage over to the Chicago Police Department.
So you have to beg the property owners to snitch. And it's not because they don't want to be helpful toward the police. They're not telling because they fear for their lives. They fear for their livelihoods and they fear for their businesses, because you have a government that chastises the police for doing their job. And if they rough up a super gremlin on demon time, all hell breaks loose and social media gets a hold of it. And now that super gremlin on demon time has been made out to be a victim of police brutality and white supremacy.
I don't want to hear nothing about pointing the finger at Chicago Police Department if we're not doing our jobs out here on the streets, giving them the information, and they taking that information and making arrests and bringing this individual to justice. Then if they're not at the courthouse and they take it to the courthouse or take it to the state's attorney's office and they putting these cases back out here, we got a major problem. Right. We got a big problem. Because it don't take a rocket scientist to get all the information that they have to get. If this baby lives matter, let's make this baby lives matter. Give that information over to the detectives that are working this street.
He said, if this baby's life matters, make this baby's life matters. Woo! Bro, we know that Black Lives Matter don't come out unless a white person was involved. And not only does the white person have to be involved, but they have to be the perceived perpetrator. That's the only way you're bringing Black Lives Matter out. Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, all them dudes, Jesse Jackson. So to call on Babies Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter, whoever's lives matter, to call on them at this moment is not a good look, bruh.
Now you come along here, you walk, you ride, you do whatever you had to do. You discharge that weapon. You slept on a pillow last night. You slept on somebody's pillow, somebody's bed, while this baby's laying on a steel table in the medical examiner's office.
They probably slept on somebody's baby mama's bed. Some woman took him in that night. Y'all know how it go. These chicks love the super gremlin.
You got your brain, but you come here as a punk and you lay this little girl's brain and matter out here on the streets. It's time for justice. It's time to bring you to justice. And I'm asking each and everybody, hear it from my heart, hear it from everybody's heart out here. You shot this little girl brains out. Now it's time to bring you to justice. It's time for you to come out from where you're hiding at. You come out here with a gun. Whatever gun you had, and you discharge that weapon on a little 8-year-old girl. I don't care who your target was. You targeted that little girl because
you know, and I admire and respect the passion that he has. You know, these community activists, they're doing the footwork. Does it have a strong effect? Who knows? I remember doing a story on this brother right here, this officer right here. He was at another protest for another little girl who was shot in Chicago. He was involved in helping one of the female police officers that was killed last year. So these guys, they're on the pavement and they're doing the work. But it's like, man, it's only getting worse, and that y'all doing more press conferences and more. It's only getting worse.
because if you wasn't targeting that little girl, she'll be still here living today. And any and everybody that's targeting people, what you targeting them for? Because when you miss, you hit our babies. No matter what race, creed, and color they are. There are children here in Chicago, across the United States. Stop finger pointing. Let's turn the fingers to the shooter. You took your finger and discharged that weapon.
There we go, old head. Turn your fingers to the shooters. Turn your fingers to the super gremlins. That's what we need. Not the guns, but the super gremlins.
Now it's time for us to take our fingers and point to you and find out who you are.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, in school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.